What's going on, guys? This is Kevin Muller from Cinephellas. I am the movie guy here at this site, and I'm here to talk about two that I picked off my list. If you've been following this segment through the last couple of months, I do something with Kevin. I give little short reviews about 7 movies, and then there are times when I'll take one movie off the list I have and I will expand on it. Well, today I'm going to do it with two because today I'm going to talk about two actors. I'm going to talk about Michael Cera and John Hamm. Both have personas that are on screen that everyone knows. Michael Cera is more timid, shy, awkward, but overall a lovable guy. While John Hamm, as Don Draper in Mad Men, he was suave, he was sophisticated. As the show went on, those layers are peeling off. But at first, this guy was the ultimate dude. All the women wanted to sleep with him, while all the guys wanted to be him. I'm going to talk about the adults first. The adults stars Michael Cera as Eric. Eric has come home to his hometown. He hasn't been back there in 3 years. He has two sisters, Rachel and Maggie. Rachel is played by Hannah Gross, and Maggie is played by Beverly from the new version of It, Sophia Lillis. They have a lovable relationship. They are very awkward to each other as well. But one thing I liked about this movie, I'm an only child, but I've always enjoyed seeing my friends who are siblings and have a sister and brother, that the inside jokes, the weirdness, the stories. It's something I never had as an only child, and it's interesting to behold. And writer and director of this movie, The Adults, Dustin Guy Defa, does exactly perfect at using Michael Cera. Because Michael Cera's energy in Arrested Development, as I said, was nervous. He cracked really bad jokes that were either not funny, not delivered with confidence, or like at the worst, a combination of both. Here, he uses that to kind of mask a man that inside is just screaming and has so much anxiety, so much turmoil. The type of character that Michael Cera has played so well. But then he uses that to kind of mask everything. And while Michael Cera is very chill and calm on the outside, but there are moments in this movie that kind of peel back a layer and saying, "Oh, this guy's pretty messed up." There's one specific scene where everyone is playing poker around the table, and Mike Cera is asked, when was the first time you realized that death existed?" And he gives this crazy answer about watching this nature documentary. And as the story goes on, his eyes start filling with tears. But in the end, it's a joke. And the nature documentary is basically Mufasa and Scar killing Mufasa. And everyone has a good laugh. But one of the poker players is like that's messed up, man. That's kind of a betrayal. You kind of were genuine for a sec, but just kind of flipped off a switch and turned it off. It's kind of weird, and it is kind of weird, but I like that. I liked how they used Sarah's persona here. It was very interesting. On top of that, I'm not kidding, there is a 5-minute scene where these three siblings, Maggie, Rachel, and Eric, they talk in their own language. And you see it in other movies, like someone may like say something back and forth, and that's it. Um, the 5-year engagement, Emily Blunt and Alison Brie kind of did it with the Cookie Monster voice. Okay, imagine that scene went on way longer. Now that kind of works and it kind of doesn't. It kind of gets annoying at points, but I understand why Defa did it. It was just to show that all three of these adult people are broken. Rachel takes care of the house that her parents left her after they died. Maggie's back from college and she doesn't want to go back. She just wants to chase like a business dream. And Sarah, he is broken, as I keep saying, and there is some type of weird connection to a poker game that him and his friends played years ago that feels like one of the reasons why he's back, that he wants to prove that he can win. Eric is very stoic, but as I said, he hides behind humor. His father was very stoic and closed off from his sisters. Eric's not like that, but as I said, he uses humor to deflect any type of emotion. The production value is very simple. It's an independent movie. It's one of the reasons I want to talk about these two films. They are two films that are small in scale and kind of unknown. I've talked to people about these movies and they're like, I've never heard of these things. And that's why I wanted to cover it. So Michael Cera uses his persona very well in this movie. And director and writer Dustin Guy Defa is fantastic. I'm giving this one 3.5 out of 5 hair pieces. It's an interesting story. You know, it's not gonna connect with everybody, but I thought it was very interesting and it uses Cera very well. Joaquin Black's film is a lot less grounded than the adults. His is called the Corner Office. It stars John Hamm, who plays Orson, who is very neurotic, very weird. There is a real okay, interesting plot here. So Orson gets up and he goes into the hallway and walks around his office. His this typical, non-fancy version of a typical American office. And he finds a door and he walks inside and he finds this room and he walks around the room. He sits down in the room. And once he exits that room, his ideas for the company skyrocket. Everyone's like, "Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to this office." And everybody's like, "What office?" Like there is no office at that end of the hallway. It's like, no, I walk into that office, I sit around, and my ideas just come to me. So the whole conflict of the movie is he crazy or are people against him, especially when he starts, spewing out really good ideas. Back to the persona thing I was talking about. John Hamm is so different in this movie than he is was as Don Draper. To tell you the truth, one of the sets that the I'm sorry, the set that he walks onto that is the office. It looks like they just took an office space from Mad Men set and they just put into this movie. But it's so interesting because last time I saw John Hamm in that room, he was full of bluster, he was full of confidence, he was standing straight. Here he looks so out of place and it's so weird to see. Yeah, it's more than just the mustache that he has in the movie. It's just he carries himself such in a different way and he's dressed very frumpy as Draper. He's very clean cut and everything fit him perfectly. The whole thing reminded me of an episode of The Twilight Zone. The overall look of the production rings very close to Severance. So if you are a fan of Severance, check this out. This one isn't as engaging as Severance. It is kind of cold and aloof at points, but I kind of understood what they were doing, especially when Sarah Gadon came in. She plays a receptionist who catches John Hamm's eyes, and then he's like, "Should I show her the room? Is she part of this conspiracy against me? Will she believe me if, because he becomes the talk of the building that, he's crazy, but, again, is he crazy or are people basically trying to take him down in their own way? I liked it. It's not perfect. It's not going to ring true to everybody. If I was to recommend these two movies and I had to choose one to a typical viewer, I would say adults, but that's not a knock against Corner Office. It's an interesting premise. It does start slow. It has constant narration by John Hamm, which I kind of thought was cool sometimes, but other times I'm like, okay, like we don't need that this much of that. But overall, I'm just happy that Hamm keeps challenging himself. He's a great comedic actor. Of course, he's great as Don Draper. And here he is very happy because he's not in the constraints of a big budget studio budget. This movie was probably made because he was signed on to it. So he gets to play, he gets to basically experiment with this character in Orson, and I enjoyed seeing what he did. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work, both the performance and the movie, but it is a courageous step in the right direction, if you wanted to say it like that. And I'm gonna give Corner Office 3 out of 5 hair pieces. And again, I gave the adults 3.5. Again, both good movies, a little out there in their own individual ways, but an enjoyable time. Comment below. I have a review on top of this video to expand more on my thoughts. Come to the site, disagree with me, agree with me. Say, what are these movies you're watching, Kev? Come by to see the latest in movie reviews, TV reviews. And we're doing video games now, which I'm very happy because I'm a video game nerd. Yeah. So next time I will be back with Cinema with Kevin. When you see me next time, the movies covered there are all horror movies that I missed in 2023, and I think you're getting an 8 because I didn't want to make a separate list with like the one hanger outside the 7. So I think you're getting a like 99% sure you're getting 8. But anyway, come to the site, drop us some love, subscribe, and watch the podcast. We have a great time doing that. And, as we say in the site, cheers.